The time has finally come. We've got one of apparently many Air Jordan 11s that are going to be releasing in the holiday season. These smell good, man. These are awesome. I actually grabbed these during our Taiwan trip, so stay tuned for the vlog and the other extra content that we've got surrounding that. But yeah, this was kind of a fun one. They released way early over there, like 2 weeks ago.
Shut up and take my money!
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to the official WearTesters.com YouTube channel. Today we got a detailed look and breakdown on the Air Jordan 11 Rare Air. For those of you guys wondering, this is the box, kind of a different box for an Air Jordan 11, so this is pretty interesting. We've got a two-tone thing. It's basically like the Rare Air theme and all of that stuff. Every Rare Air shoe has kind of come in a different box. My favorite being the face box that has just been blacked out. I think that that was the coolest throwback or little nugget, if you will, into Jordan Brand's heritage and history. All the rest of the boxes have been kind of like whatever to me. Like, this box is cool for an 11, but seeing that it's part of the Rare Air series, I would have liked them to all have come in the same kind of box since they're like a set, you know? Now, just in case you missed our previous Rare Air videos, which did include the Rare Air 4, the Rare Air 3, as well as the men and women's Rare Air 1s, I suppose I will go over the theme of Rare Air one more time. Go ahead, insert Spidey.
All right, people, let's do this one last time.
So the entire theme of the Rare Air series has just been basically like a throwback to stuff throughout the design process and sometimes throughout the release process of all of these Air Jordans and just sneakers in general. There are always samples and renderings, some of which are made, some of which are not, a lot of which don't ever release, which then end up becoming considered Rare Air. So if we want to take just the Jordan 11 for an example, I'm not going to bring up all the different rare unreleased shoes that I've seen over the years or that we've all seen over the years. But just speaking of the Air Jordan 11, one of the rarest Air Jordan 11s to have ever not released, at least until the year 2000, was way back during its original run in 1995 with the Space Jam edition of the Air Jordan 11, where obviously in the movie MJ laced up a special pair. They did not release to the public.
Shame, shame, shame!
Not until the year 2000.
Finally!
And then there were some other Rare Air instances with the Air Jordan 11, one of which being in the NBA playoffs, which was the series in which MJ came back wearing number 45. They got into the playoffs, they went up against the Orlando Magic, ended up losing. However, within that series, he debuted the Concord Air Jordan 11 instead of wearing the Air Jordan 10 that he had been seen wearing previously throughout the season. Unfortunately, the Air Jordan 11 Concord did not meet uniform requirements, at least it didn't match their uniform requirements. I believe that if all players were wearing all black shoes, then everybody had to be wearing all black shoes. MJ obviously was wearing a white black shoe, a technicality that is honestly stupid, but whatever. And so he's getting fined, and what they ended up doing is making him a Concord PE that was black in Concord instead of white, black, and Concord. Those eventually released as well. Kind of confusing. We actually have a review on those too, where they were labeled as Space Jams even though they weren't a Space Jam shoe. They had 45 in the back, which was an obvious nod to his return to the NBA wearing 45 instead of 23. The bottoms, however, were not royal blue like the Space Jams. They were Concord like the Concord 11s. And then the rest is history. Something that you'll see on this particular release is the lettering down the eyelets. This is actually something that we talked about in the Air Jordan 11 Jubilee video, where a lot of the original samplings of this shoe did feature Jordan down the eye stays. There were even some select pairs of the Jordan Defining Moments pack, the one that came with the 11s and the 6s, where some of them released with the gold lettering down the eye stays, which was a change order essentially mid-run, and they decided not to go with that. But some people did end up with pairs. Super Rare Air. The lettering is a nod to that, where this was something that was originally intended to be released on the shoe, and for some reason they scrapped it. One of the funniest things though is that the rarest of Air Jordan 11s were actually the original sample versions of the shoe that are nothing like these at all. I do have some pictures of them. They're going to be kind of like not the easiest to see, but I'm going to do my best to try to explain what you're looking at. But essentially, some of the original promo shots featuring MJ in the Concord 11s not only feature the Jordan down the eye stay, but the original intent for this shoe, at least from Tinker's perspective, was a shoe that kind of like wrapped and locked into your foot on its own. So this is something that we did see eventually with the auto lace system that unfortunately is just like no longer a thing. So that's weird, but that was the original intent. Back then in 1994, like when he was designing the shoe, it was not an easy feat, obviously, to get all of that technology within these sneakers. So what ended up happening is that he created a shoe with a burrito style tongue, which means that the tongue and the upper wrap around. So if you remember the Nike Air Shake and Destructs, a shoe that is most famous for being on the feet of one Dennis Rodman, that shoe actually laced up on the side because the whole thing like wrapped around your foot. It was like that burrito style. And that's what the original 11s actually look like. They are super weird, I will say that. And when you take this particular promo ad and then you zoom in, you can really see that it was an actual burrito style tongue. And again, it was scrapped and they ended up going with this version. I don't even know how many of those versions with the burrito style made it into production. So far, the only time I've ever seen them is in those promo shots, which I believe are MJ's size 13 and 13 and a half, because he had two different size feet, which is how he ended up with bloody feet when he wore those Air Jordan 1s in Madison Square Garden, because they were from his rookie year and his foot grew. But yeah, so I would say that when we're talking about the Air Jordan 11, the rarest of Air Jordan 11s would be those. The ones with the lettering in the Concord colorway with the burrito style tongue that was only seen, to my knowledge at least, on the feet of Michael Jordan himself. Now, with all that being said, I will say that this could have been so much cooler had they actually released that version of the shoe. You remember when they released the Air Jordan 3 Tinkers that were based off of the original sketch? That kind of vibe. They eventually did that with the Air Jordan 13 when they called them the Jordan Black Cats, and that was supposed to be the original Jordan 13's design. This could have been that. This could have been that cool. Maybe they should have released an Air Jordan 11 Tinker and gone with the original sketches. Maybe in the original colors too, where it was a black ballistic mesh upper with a white patent mudguard. But what we've got here is just basically a traditional Air Jordan 11 in the Rare Air themed color. So when you flip the shoe to the outsole, you can see that we've got that dual traction setup right there. You've got clear rubber with solid rubber herringbone traction pods. Obviously these are done up in 2 different colors. The translucent is already pre-aged or pre-vintage or pre-yellowed. I love this personally. I know a lot of people don't. And then through that, you can see the carbon fiber plate. I think that looks awesome. Seeing it done up in red like this, in the red and black, it just always looks cool to me. Moving on up, we've got a Phylon midsole, and inside that Phylon midsole is a full-length air sole unit. I haven't done this in a while, but if you wanted a visual, this is it. So this is kind of what it looks like. It is a different air unit inside the footbed, but it's going to be implemented just like this. So underneath the Strobel is going to be this air unit, and then on top of the Strobel is going to be an actual polyurethane insole. This is awesome. They even went all out and did the terry cloth kind of like liner on the top, so I really like that too. And then when we move on up to the upper, obviously we've got patent leather on here. Some people question like what patent leather means. They think that it's like a Nike specific thing. That's actually not true. Patent leather is simply shiny leather, so it's got a patented finish. A lot of the patent leather that Nike has used over the years, at least in terms of Jordan Retro products, have been synthetic, so no leather to be found on the patent leather, but they have had the patent finish. This, however, and a lot of the remastered 11s do feature actual patent leather, which means that it's a leather panel, and then on top of the leather panel, instead of it being done in like this polyurethane coating, so like whatever color they want or whatever texture they want, they've done the same type of thing but with a patent finish, so that shiny finish. And this particular one just is done up in blue. It does feel kind of thin like the previous Air Jordan 11, so hopefully they don't crease as badly as the what were they, the ones that look like the DMPs, but they called them something else. Man, I hate all these new names. I can't remember them all. They are called the Gratitudes.
Oh.
But much like the Gratitudes and the previous Legend Blues, aka the Columbias, these they feel still on the thinner side. Hopefully they don't crease like those did. Now the upper on these guys is very nice, at least in my opinion, at least in terms of an Air Jordan 11. Typically we get the ballistic style mesh, and then we get a small leather panel right here in the heel. Instead we've got all leather everything, and it feels awesome. I do kind of wish that they took the Legend Blue, aka Columbia Blue route, where the tongue was still the nylon tongue, but instead it's leather like the rest of the upper. It's just a little stiff, so that's the only reason. It's not super stiff, just a little bit. Not uncomfortably stiff or anything. It's not anything crazy. It's just not going to be breathable and all that. So you know what I mean, the little things. But they do have this kind of like really interesting texture on it. So the main paneling is very, I would say like almost natural looking, whereas the tongue is heavy textured or fake pebbled, aka fake tumbled. I don't love the way that this looks. This looks synthetic to me, whereas the rest of it looks like actual leather. And then on the rear, this feels like a very nice version of the screen print. So I really like the way that this feels. Like you can feel the ridges or the bumps in it, so I really dig that. And then at the middle of the lacing, you still have the Jumpman Jordan tab. It is done up in that kind of like sail color as the rest of the upper. The only thing I don't love is just the red Jumpman looks great, but behind it you can just see the weird like blocking, you know what I mean? Like when they like stitch everything behind you, it's like thick back there. So you could just see this like big red square. I don't know, it just doesn't look as clean as maybe I thought that it should. It almost looks like the little tabs on gum that you want to like pull the cellophane off. It's a strange look. And then the laces are super sail, so I don't know what people are going to think about these. These did not move as well as maybe some people might have thought they would have overseas. So in the States, we'll see. With so many 11s releasing, I have no idea what's about to happen. Typically, they make like 1 million of these things to like really supply the demand. And this year, who knows what's going to happen. Now, in terms of sizing, they do fit true to size. They actually fit really nicely. Probably the nicest fitting Jordan 11 in quite a while, at least the mid-top ones. Sometimes they feel a little weird, especially like around the toe, like they feel kind of bubbly. These feel perfect. They feel like what I remember them feeling like way back in 1995, 96, as well as the 2000, 2001 retro era. Underfoot, they're nowhere near as comfortable as those, but they still feel good. So what I would recommend is for people to go true to size. If you're a wide footer, you might want to consider going up half a size, but everyone else, true to size, you should be good to go. And with that being said, do we have time? I know this was a long one, I apologize, but do we have time for a quick viewer submitted question of the day?
Sure. Because I've seen you've been on vacation in Taiwan. When you're on vacation and buying shoes, do you dispose the box and just bring home the shoes, or do you pack them with the box?
What I should do and what I do are two totally different things. So yeah, my box here is damaged because I brought this from Taiwan and I refused to break the box down. I was just really hoping that the, what are they called? The people that take care of your checked bags, that they were gonna be nice. They were not. They threw my stuff around like nobody's business.
And gave you extras.
I'm not gonna talk about that. I was thinking about that, but I'm not gonna say it. So yeah, this box got a little f***ed up. When I got it from the store, it was pristine. However, I did pick up a couple of other pairs, and those I actually broke the boxes down. I did keep them, but I broke them down, so they are flat right now, and then I will put them back together for the videos and stuff whenever those come out. So that's what I did, that's what I do. Usually though, like if I'm in the States traveling and I find something somewhere else and I buy it, I will just ship it to myself. But doing that from overseas with the way that all of these stupid fucking tariffs are right now, it was really expensive. So I was like, F it, man, I'm just gonna try to put these in my luggage. And I did, and yeah. But yeah, what about you guys? If you're on vacation, what do you do when you buy too much stuff that doesn't fit in your stuff? You know what I mean? In the bags that you have, do you buy more bags and then check them? Do you ship them to yourself? Does it depend on where you're vacationing? Sound off below, let us know. On top of all of that, what do you think about the Air Jordan 11 Rare Air? Do you think that they are worthy of the name Rare Air? Or do you think like me, and this could have been a monumental moment. Like we could have gotten a release of something that was supposed to release, whatever was in Tinker's brain originally. They could have done that. Maybe they'll still do that in the future, who knows? But they really could have done something truly rare like they did with the Steel 10s and the toe cap, and put out something that was a fucking relic. And I think that they kind of missed the mark there. But I will say that these are beautiful. I love them. But thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. We greatly appreciate your guys' support. We will see you in the next one. So until then, you guys have a good one.